Hi all, welcome back to Sunshine City, and remember to subscribe and ring that bell. Well, we're in a lockdown right now, folks, and we're not allowed to fly planes. And you're thinking, well, wouldn't it be nice to go overseas, see family and that? Well, there's a 2-year ban. They're talking about not flying for 2 years. And they're talking about changes to our life, that life cannot be the same ever again because of this COVID thing. And this COVID thing is a fake pandemic. It's flu conditions, fake pandemic, but plandemic or pandemic. Plandemic is the new word for it because it was all planned by the New World Order. The New World Order who want to control your life, control your free flight, control your job, control your free flow of money, control your businesses, your independence, control your food supply, shortage of food. They want to create shortage of food, create civil war. So they don't want you to fly a plane, and if you do fly a plane, you're going to have to be in a 4-week hotel quarantine, and then your 3-4 week holiday you come back. And so you sit in your hotel for 4 weeks, hop back on the plane and go back to where you came from. There will be people that might have a 3-month stay to see dying grandma. Well, that's going to be too late. She's dead. You're sitting in a quarantine for 4 weeks. They released someone soon. You know what happened? The New Zealanders grew up in arms about it, because that's one thing they're doing, is they're going to make you be up in arms about it. And so they were crazy. Why did that let that person out? And you know what one lady did? She jumped the wall in the hotel and she escaped. But they tracked her down. The police tracked her down. She was in Auckland, and they tracked her down 2 kilometres from the hotel and brought her back. Don't know how they can track them down, but apparently they can. Maybe they trace the phone, trace it, find out where they are. This is the problem with these phones now, track and trace. And you think, well, hey, I need to be microchipped now because, we're a disease package of germs. And, even with jobs now, my job, I was replaced by the computer internet, because you don't need people anymore. You can have robots doing your job, computers doing your job. And so that's what's happening in this world, is the companies are irresponsible now, and so you want to allow them with their riots to destroy the middle income businesses. Can you see what that's going to do when you destroy the middle income businesses? That you're going to have to rely on these companies that are replacing us with robots. You want to rely on them on minimum wage, casual rates, casual hours, work here, there. You're not that important. So you're going towards a robot utopia, right? That's what you're going towards. And that robot utopia will be people living in the streets. Right now we have homeless building up in the hotels, building up hotel across the road, building to the brim. There's hotels down the road, building to the brim. They're not building with people staying here, they're building with homeless. They're chucking all the homeless in the hotels. Well, there's one for overseas. This is the trick here, you see. And what the hotels do is they charge $3,000 a week to the New Zealand government. So me, when I was staying with my company, it was $90 a week, but I wasn't allowed $90 a day, to stay in a hotel, which is $600 a week, right? $630 a week. And these people are paying $3,000 to the unemployment service. You see what was happening is that hotel didn't want me anymore because it filled up with welfare beneficiaries, and therefore I had to go to another hotel that wasn't taking welfare beneficiaries, and then all the hotels are getting in on it because it's up to $3,000 a week. And some of the companies started to charge that. And prices in New Zealand, it wasn't that long ago you could buy a house for 40 to 200,000 in New Zealand. You could still probably buy a house for 400, 500. But you've got to remember that the wages have only doubled, but the house prices have gone up 10-fold to 20-fold. Farms have gone up 20 to 50-fold. Because there's one house, some people say, don't be ridiculous. There was a farm out Parongia way there worth 300 to 400,000. The guy said the farm's now worth 20 million. So you do your maths on that one. That's a horrendous amount of more than what it's worth more. But then you've got to remember that the people that were buying the farms were the Chinese. Well, they've stopped it. They've stopped it, but that is still in place. The monetary value of those farms is still at that price, because it hasn't got to the realization that the Chinese can't buy the farms. But what the Chinese can do is they can set up companies in New Zealand and do it differently. So they can still buy the farms. They've just got to be more careful about it, and they can't have a Chinese overseas person. They can have a Chinese person who has residency in New Zealand. See how it works? And so Labour and New Zealand First, apparently they've created this fairer system, but what the Chinese do is they get round it. I didn't really want to say it online, but that's how they get round it. They give it to the Chinese resident who lives in New Zealand, because these people who are Chinese now believe that they don't believe they're New Zealanders. They still refer to themselves as Chinese. When you're talking to them, you go, hey, you're in New Zealand, and they go, right, and they go, no, I'm Chinese, and you're being rude to me and racist. They're Chinese, they're not a New Zealander. You kidding me? You're living in this country and you're not a New Zealander? But that's reverse racism, right? We've allowed that to happen. We've allowed them to have Chinese TV, Chinese radio, well, there's no such thing as a newspaper anymore, just about. There are some still. Chinese newspapers, they're on the internet, they employ Chinese, they shop at the Chinese place, so their interaction with Europeans is a little bit limited, although they are mixing a little bit now. But you have to remember that the Chinese are generally nice people, but there is the rich Chinese guy that owns 1,000 to 10,000 properties and is building up his portfolio. So if he controls a set area, so you, like Auckland for instance, it's surrounded by sea and they can't expand. So if you buy the properties in Auckland, then the properties go up. So it wouldn't matter if there's a crash or anything else, because you can control the value by getting other investors and yourself to keep buying properties like they do in China with the ghost cities. So they keep buying. They've done it before, so they're just doing it in New Zealand as well. So the house prices are beyond what a New Zealander can afford, and then therefore it becomes we all become rent tenants to the Chinese and to the foreigners, and that's what is going to be the utopia reality. And so when you say people are going to be living on the street, they will be living on the street because they can't afford to pay the rent values that these people are requiring. So in Queenstown, I think it's 700 to 900, but then the population decreased when tourism disappeared, and so some of the rents came down, and so things got a little bit better, but then some people committed suicide as well. So there's a lot of problems going on in Queenstown right now. So thank you all for subbing to my channel.